Everyone remembers the dragon that changed Toothless, Hiccup, the boy who taught the most feared dragon in the world how to trust. But almost nobody asks a much darker question. Who taught Toothless to obey? Because long before he became the king of dragons, before he ever met Hiccup, before he soared above Berk as the last Night Fury, Toothless lived under a ruler he couldn't refuse. A dragon so terrifying that hundreds of dragons risk their lives every single day just to feed her. And if they failed, they didn't return home empty-handed. They became the meal. That dragon wasn't the Bewilderbeast. It wasn't Draco. It wasn't even an alpha in the way most fans think. It was the Red Death. And once you realize what kind of world Toothless grew up in, you'll never see his story the same way again. Because this isn't just the story of a dragon who became free. It's the story of a dragon who spent the beginning of his life believing freedom didn't exist. Most people think the dragons attacked Berk because they were monsters. The first movie quietly tells us something completely different. When Hiccup finally reaches the dragon nest, he doesn't find dragons celebrating after successful raids. He finds them delivering food, fish, livestock, anything they can carry, not for themselves, for the creature waiting deep inside the volcano. Then Hiccup says one line that changes everything. The dragons raid villages because they have to. If they don't bring enough food back, they'll be eaten themselves. Think about what that means. Every burning house, every stolen sheep, every dragon flying toward Berk wasn't necessarily attacking because it wanted to. It was trying to survive. And if every dragon lived under those rules, then so did Toothless. The Night Fury wasn't hunting because he enjoyed it. He was hunting because somewhere beyond the horizon, something much bigger was waiting for him. Hungry. Astrid unknowingly gives us another clue. When she sees the nest, she compares it to a giant beehive. At first, it sounds like a simple metaphor, but it's much darker than that. Worker bees don't choose who they serve. Everything they do keeps one creature alive, the queen. That's exactly how the Red Death ruled. She wasn't simply a giant dragon. She was the center of an entire system. Hundreds of dragons searched for food. Every successful hunt fed her. Every failed hunt risked becoming her next meal. Suddenly, the first movie stops looking like a simple war between humans and dragons. It becomes the story of hundreds of dragons trapped inside a system built on fear, including Toothless. Now ask yourself this. Why would a Night Fury, one of the fastest, smartest dragons alive, risk his life making food deliveries? Because intelligence doesn't matter when someone else controls your survival. Strength doesn't matter when disobedience means death. The Red Death didn't just rule with fire. She ruled through fear. She turned survival itself into a weapon. Then something happened she never expected. A Night Fury didn't return. Toothless crashed into a forest after Hiccup shot him down. At first, it looked like the worst day of his life. But it may have been the first day he was truly free. Think about those early scenes. Toothless is injured, he can't fly. He's completely vulnerable. Yet when he finally has the chance to kill Hiccup, he doesn't. Instead, he watches him, studies him, waits. Because this human is behaving in a way that makes no sense. Hiccup has every opportunity to control him. Instead, he lets him choose. Every fish Hiccup shares, every flight they take together, every moment he risks his own life for Toothless instead of using him. The Night Fury begins learning something no dragon under the Red Death ever could. Loyalty and obedience are not the same thing. One is forced, the other is earned. And once you understand that difference, everything changes. But here's where the story gets even deeper. The Red Death wasn't the only dragon capable of controlling others. There was another, an alpha. When Hiccup meets Valka, she explains that every dragon nest has a ruler, but above them exists something even rarer, a dragon capable of commanding others through instinct itself. Drago understands that power better than anyone. He doesn't earn dragons, he takes them. His Bewilderbeast unleashes a command so powerful that dragons stop resisting. Even the dragons of Berk abandon the people they've trusted for years. Then the impossible happens. Toothless does the same. For one heartbreaking moment, the dragon who would die protecting Hiccup turns against him. Not because he wants to, because he can't stop himself. If you've ever wondered why that scene feels so disturbing, it's because we're watching Toothless lose the one thing Hiccup gave him: choice. The movie even hides an incredible detail. Hiccup covers Toothless's ear plates, interrupting the Alpha's command. That tiny moment tells us something enormous. Dragon obedience isn't just symbolic, it has a biological trigger. They're not simply convinced, they're overridden. And suddenly, the Red Death looks different. She may not have possessed true Alpha control. She didn't need to. She controlled something just as powerful. Food, fear, survival, different method, same result: obedience. But here's what neither the Red Death nor Drago ever understood. Obedience has limits. Loyalty doesn't. That's the lesson hidden across the entire trilogy. The Red Death ruled because dragons feared starvation. Drago ruled because dragons couldn't resist. Hiccup never tried to rule at all. Think back to every major decision Toothless makes. When Toothless regains the ability to fly, Hiccup doesn't force him to stay. He removes the harness, steps back, and gives him a choice: leave or stay. Toothless chooses to stay. Later, when Hiccup realizes dragons may be safer in the hidden world, he doesn't chain Toothless to Burke. Once again, he lets him choose. That pattern repeats throughout their entire friendship. Choice, trust, respect. Everything the Red Death's world was missing, which makes the ending of the second movie so much more meaningful. When Toothless defeats Drago's Bewilderbeast, he doesn't become Alpha because of his species. He earns it. Not through destiny, not because he was born special, but because of every choice he'd made since crashing into that forest. Then comes one of the most beautiful moments in the franchise. Thousands of dragons bow before him, but look closely. Nobody is forcing them. Nobody is threatening them. Nobody is starving them. For the first time in Toothless's life, dragons kneel willingly. The dragon who once obeyed out of fear has become the dragon others willingly follow. Maybe that's exactly why Toothless became such a different kind of king. He understood something no other ruler ever could. He knew what it felt like to have your choices taken away. He remembered what it was like to fly because you had to, not because you wanted to. The Red Death built a kingdom through fear. Drago tried to build one through control. Hiccup proved there was another way. And Toothless became living proof that it worked. That's why the ending of the hidden world hits so hard. When dragons accept Toothless as their king, they aren't following the strongest dragon alive. They're following the dragon who broke the cycle, the one who learned that true leaders don't demand obedience. They inspire loyalty. So, maybe the Red Death wasn't just the dragon that made Toothless obey. She became the reason he swore no dragon under his rule ever would. He began his life surviving under fear. He ended it leading through trust. And that's what makes Toothless one of the greatest characters DreamWorks has ever created. Now, I want to know what you think. Was Hiccup the first person who showed Toothless that dragons didn't have to obey forever? Or do you think Toothless had already started questioning the Red Death long before they ever met? Let me know your theory in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and want more hidden How to Train Your Dragon secrets, hit like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.